And you talk about like eating for experience, which is something a lot of people do. How do you merge that world with eating for experience, but also eating healthy? Is that something that can be put together? Like, as you as a chef, can you create an experience for people, but also allow for them to eat healthy?
I 100% believe we can merge eating for experience and eating healthy. I think one example is, some of my clients, I go to their house and I meal prep for the week, but then I oftentimes make a fresh dinner for that night. So, in my opinion, both the meal prep can be an experience in the way that I plate it and making it look elegant and appetizing and not like boring health food, which can literally be like the perfectly crisp sweet potatoes with an elegant little, fresh herbs on top. And it's crazy what that does to the eye visually. But you're having two very healthy items there. So I do try to make my meal prep very visually appetizing. And so I think that's an experience in itself, kind of knowing and looking forward to a really healthy meal that looks beautiful. And then on the other end, these fresh dinners or experiences that I do for people, I don't use seed oils. A lot of times I don't do dairy. If someone's gluten free, that's not a problem for me. So, most of what I do is definitely on the healthier side of things, sourcing my ingredients from local butcheries that I go to, farmers markets, things like that. So I think where the foodie stuff kind of gets crazy is when you're seeing videos of somebody trying this like, $50 hamburger with double wagyu and, three slabs of American cheese. And not that you can't do that. It's definitely fun to do things like that. But I think when that just becomes overconsumed, then it just becomes a big problem. And it becomes for the experience rather than, that food really is to nourish ourselves. And we're also kind of taking advantage of such a blessing that we have when other countries are starving and we are just over consuming here. So it is kind of crazy when you think about it that way.
And you talk about other countries struggling with food and we're over consuming. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so there's so many countries that still to this day, and it's sad. It's like you don't even hear about this stuff in the news. Countries that don't have sustainable products and don't have the means to getting fresh produce, communities that are on food stamps with like the most awful sourced, quality of food that you could ever think of. And then so many of us, not just in America, but other countries as well, are, going out to dinner and getting five appetizers and three entrees and four desserts and, over consuming in our homes, over buying things in our homes, letting so many things go to waste when there's people like starving down the street. It's kind of a crazy thing to think about. So I'm not involved in that world. I would love to be definitely with what I do, to really get more high quality food to people that don't have access to that. But I think one thing we can just do in our own lives is just be more mindful of what we're buying and consuming and not over consuming things and taking advantage of the blessings God's given us with food and nourishment and things like that with all the great restaurants we have. And I go out to eat, of course. It's not like you can't enjoy your life, but just being more mindful, I think, of how God's blessed us and not taking advantage of that.